Hi guys, so my name is Lisa Finaro. I want to talk to you a little bit about my philosophy regarding technology in the classroom. So I am an English teacher and I've taught primarily high school students, a lot of ninth grade and a lot of English 11 and 12. And throughout that time I've gone from an experience with students who had virtually no technology in the classroom to a much broader group of students who come from a richer district and there's a lot of technology available to them. So I've kind of seen a full sort of gamut of experience. So in order for me to kind of explain what's important to me as an educator, I wanted to kind of take a few minutes to explain my educational experiences and where I come from. I am from Western New York and went through the Kentown School District. And during this time, I was on, at that point, tracking, because they did do that with higher end classes. So even though I actually was really bad at science and math, I was tracked into the honors classes for those particular subjects, so I really kind of struggled with that. So I learned a lot, obviously, in school, and school was my main focus. Reading was extremely important to me. So as a child, I would ride my bike to the library, especially in the summertime, every day. I would read, 1 to 2 paperback books, the entire book, in a day, because I loved doing it. And that was probably my biggest thing. And reading was also kind of an escape for me because I was socially anxious, so a lot of times I didn't really have an easy time playing with friends or interacting with them. So that is something that kind of ties into a lot of what I do, because I get frustrated sometimes as a teacher, especially an English teacher, that students don't enjoy reading. And I have to kind of take a step back and realize that, well, not everybody is going to have the same passion for reading that I happen to have growing up, and I really shouldn't, discount those feelings that they're having. So when I talk to students a lot, I talk to them about making memories and making, their educational time, which, they feel is so long and so drawn out, but ultimately trying to make that educational experience for them memorable. And the best way to do that is to have these experiences that stick with you because you felt something when you experienced them. They became a part of your repertoire that you can pull from later. I wanted to kind of share with you some of my personal memories, because I think that teachers are who they were when they were children. And, even though they may have grown up and changed and learned a lot and been through many other experiences, what they went through became their foundation. And, any teacher who says they're completely objective, I think, is lying. No offense if you've ever said that, because you can't be. I think so much of who you are goes into what you do, no matter what it is, and we're guiding, our students. I tell them about my past and I tell them about my experiences because it's part of who I am. And if I want them to trust me and I want to create a good atmosphere for them to learn in, then they should know a little bit about me in order to establish that sense of trust. So I'm sharing that with you much in the same way that I would probably share it with my students. When I started teaching, I started to see technology become more a topic of conversation and more an important part of students' lives as I continued with my teaching career. So ultimately what I noticed was that, when I first started, almost every student had a computer in their home. By the time, this year has come around, absolutely every student had to have a computer in their home, and they were using it all the time, or they had some other device that they were able to use in order to get access to the internet or some other form of technology. So it certainly became extremely important in their lives. So when I think about technology in the classroom, I think that there is this breaking barrier that's happening now between having technology in the personal life and technology in the professional world. So students, no longer just have technology as a hobby. It's also something that becomes a necessity for them. And as they start to continue on with their educational experiences, it will also gain importance and then eventually become an everyday part of their professional worlds. So when you think about that and how that translates into what we're doing now, we as educators absolutely have to include technology, because if we are training them for the real world, both in a social setting as well as in academic and a professional setting, then we have to model how to use technology best to meet their needs, no matter what they go into or what they pursue once they graduate. But I want to put a little cautionary note there, because even though technology absolutely should be used in the classroom, it has to have a purpose. So if it's just being used just to be used, then students are going to treat it with that same sort of abandon as they do with playing a video game or with texting a friend. It's not going to have a memorable moment in their lives. Those lessons where students have an experience with it, in other words, they have engaged in it in some way, they've entered in a conversation, they've felt something, or they've personally connected with something, are the lessons that they're actually going to retain. So the same thing is the case for technology, because if we're looking at using technology in students' lives and it has a very clear purpose for them, as well as some sort of sense of engagement, then we absolutely must use it. So what does all of this mean in my classroom? For me, it means that I'm going to use technology when it's going to grab their attention and it's going to teach literacy skills. Because no matter what form literacy comes in, whether it's electronic, on a computer screen, whatever, it doesn't really matter. It absolutely must still be taught. So students need the skill of reading well. They need the skill of applying what they've read. They need the skill of synthesizing information. That's not going to change. Just the medium in which students are getting that information is starting to change. But the skill itself is still something that absolutely must be addressed, and it is something that will be important for them across the curriculum, no matter what they pursue. So for me, I'm going to try and use those technology skills and programs that grab their attention and help them teach literacy skills. I don't necessarily want to mask the fact that I'm teaching literacy skills, but if they can sort of learn it as part of a natural behavioral and interesting process, then all the better. Because if I say to them, okay, today we are going to learn literacy, they're not going to go for it. But if I am saying something like, okay, now we're going to do this particular activity and look at what we've learned along the way, it's going to be a different experience for them. I also want them to feel engaged. Again, like I said before, those students that feel as though they've experienced a memory in the classroom are going to remember that information. If they're just memorizing something or they're doing a task in order to get a grade, it doesn't stay stored up in there. We know, as being part of the information age, that we learn things for just so long, and then if we're not using that information, it goes right back out. Really, we're looking at those things that we know we're going to use on a regular basis. Technology is also something that has become a skill unto itself. So if you are comfortable learning one tool or one type of program, Microsoft Word or something like that, or if we're talking about digital storytelling, which I think is an awesome skill as well, still using the writing process, but you're using it in this sort of digital creative format. If we're translating from one skill into another, I want students to be able to read a computer just as comfortably as they're able to read a book. Because they both are going to become important in students' lives. So literacy, to me, has kind of changed over the years, and I think it will continue to evolve. So that being said, technology definitely is its own form of literacy. It's different. It's like speaking another language. The buzzwords that we use in order to understand technology are not the same buzzwords we would use in order to understand vocabulary words or grammar exercises. Okay, those are different. So it is a language unto itself, and it's a language that everybody is speaking across the world, no matter what their spoken language is. As a teacher, I think it's our role to embrace it, because the students are most important, and the world that they have to thrive and be successful in has technology in it. So we must, as a result, keep up with that standard, and we must meet those needs as well. If we don't, then we're doing our students a disservice, and I would never want to hold back students from skills that they must have. My goal as an educator, and I think everybody's goal as educators, is to see that our students are successful in the real world, no matter what they choose to do, and I want to help them.